Good morning, Hosho staff, students, and families. Yatea Bena, we're ready to start our day, so please stand. Place your hand up on top of your head. If you have a hat or a hood, take it off. Place your right hand over your heart. Eyes are on the flag, voices are off, bodies are still. And we recite the Pledge of Allegiance together. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. Good morning, everyone. Today is Monday, April 13th, and do you realize that it has been 1 month since we've had a school closure? 1 month. The first week was our spring break, so I'm not sure that that counts because we were going to take that off anyway. But it's been 1 month. We've done it. Now we got another month to go, plus a little bit. I know you can do it. So let's see. First things, let's play some music. How about that? So Mrs. Neff has put a new selection on our playlist, which is on YouTube. So I'm going to play a little bit of it. And if you haven't already listened to it, because I know it's first thing Monday morning, I'm going to tell you who it is and what the name of it is. But let's just listen to a little bit of it. Okay, friends, that's a little bit of it, about 40 something seconds of the piece. And so this new piece is from a familiar composer. We've already had one selection from this composer. This is Antonio Vivaldi. Now this is the selection known as Spring from the Four Seasons, right? We have 4 seasons, and we've already listened to the winter one. And so let's listen to winter and see how that compares to the summer one that we just listened to. Let's see. I can find that here. Vivaldi on my list. Here we go. Okay, so once again, who was that? Vivaldi's. This is Vivaldi, and the selection is winter. And so now you can listen to spring versus winter. So it's supposed to be spring, but when I woke up this morning, there's 6 inches of snow at my house. Can you believe that? 6 inches of snow. So it feels like winter, but we want it to be spring. We want it to be spring. So let's talk about art. So I have a selection of art So let's do a new piece, a piece of art that we haven't learned yet. I'm going to try to bring it a little closer so you can see it. And I know there's a reflection in the window and from the light, so it's not perfect to see it, but you can Google it online and take a look. And what do you notice about this piece? You see three figures. They're bent over and they're picking something up. In the background, we see some, looks like some bales of hay. Looks like they might be on a farm. And so the name of this piece is Gleaners. And gleaners are coming along to pick up all the loose pieces of hay that have been left or scraps on the ground that have been left after a harvest. So that's Gleaners, and the artist is, oh, I had it written down and now it's not here, Jean-Francois Millet. Jean-Francois Millet. And for my whole life, whenever I noticed that picture, I thought it was a picture of, we had, in our American heritage, we had a period of time when we had people who worked on the cotton fields. There was slavery in effect, and I've always thought that that was what that picture was portraying. And I found out it is not. It is the French countryside, three peasant women gleaning up the hay in the French countryside. So I was completely off, and until I studied it and learned about it, I didn't know what the picture was actually of. So everybody's learning. So for a poem today, I thought we could try something that the fourth grade has already started to, that is already shared with us once. And so fourth graders, I know you know this, and even fifth graders from last year. But I'm just going to do the first 4 stanzas. It's quite a long poem, and it's called Paul Revere's Ride by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. And when I grew up, Longfellow's house, where he had grown up, or actually not grown up, but had lived as an adult and as a poet, was about 2 doors down from my high school. And I walked past his house every single day when I was in high school, and never went inside. And you can go inside and visit his house and see all the things that are there from when he lived there, which is really an interesting thing to do. And someday, perhaps we can do that together, because we're going to go, 8th graders or 9th grade, the fall of 9th grade year, we're going to go to Boston. So for sure we're going to see where Paul Revere lived. His house is still there. And we'll go to Lexington and Concord, where the battle took place that he talks about in this poem. And he says in this poem, which depicts part of what happened, and mostly true for what happened during the Battle of Lexington and Concord, which is famously known as the shot heard round the world. Because remember we talked about how in the Declaration of Independence, this was a new experiment. Nobody had really tried to do this type of government before, and people didn't think it was going to be successful. But when the farmers, the American colonists, created this militia to fight against then the best army in the world, the British, the Redcoats, then it became a shot heard round the world, because everybody was watching to see what would happen. And many things did happen after this. We had other revolutions, and people started to take a look at, can we be self-governed? We don't need a king. Can we just govern ourselves and agree to follow certain rules? And so this is a poem that talks about that. And it talks about, in Boston, it talks about the Old North Church, which is a church in the north side of Boston. It's still there today. I've been there many times. And when you're a 9th grader, I will take you there again. And you can see the place where they used to hang, where as the poem depicts, they hung the lantern to tell if the British were coming by land or by sea. 1 if by land, 2 if by sea. And that was the signal. And that church is still there. And then it talks about that this happened on the 18th of April in 75. Now, in 75, Longfellow's writing this poem somewhere around 1850, I think. So, long time ago. So he's writing this poem and saying at that time he was writing this poem, hardly anyone was still alive that had been there on that day of 1875, or 1775, sorry. And so for sure now, there's nobody still alive. There's nobody even alive since the time that Longfellow wrote this poem. But the thing that is interesting is that the poem is still relevant today because it tells us of our history and it shares a story that is common to all of us. So here's the first 4 stanzas of Paul Revere's Ride by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. Listen, my children, and you shall hear of the midnight ride of Paul Revere. On the 18th of April in 75, hardly a man is now alive who remembers that famous day and year. He said to his friend, if the British march by land or sea from the town tonight, hang a lantern aloft in the belfry arch of the North Church tower as a signal light. 1 if by land, 2 if by sea, and I on the opposite shore shall be, ready to ride and spread the alarm through every Middlesex village and farm, for the country folk to be up and to arm. Then he said good night, and with muffled oar silently rowed to the Charlestown shore, just as the moon rose over the bay, where swinging wide at her moorings lay the Somerset, a British man-of-war, a phantom ship, with each mast and spar across the moon like a prison bar, and a huge black hulk that was magnified by its own reflection in the tide. Meanwhile his friend, through alley and street, wanders and watches with eager ears, till in the silence around him he hears the muster of men at the barrack door, and the measured tread of the grenadiers marching down to their boats on the shore. And so we hear about the soldiers marching down to the shore. So will it be 1 if by land or 2 if by sea? So it also talks about Paul Revere being on the opposite shore, ready to ride through the Middlesex village and farm for the country folk to be up and to arm. So it was just a reminder that it was just our farmers and people who lived in the colonies who were taking up this militia to fight against the British who were coming in and taking over with their troops. And this was 1775. And so then it led to the Declaration of Independence, which was more than a year later, in 1776, right? What day? July 4th, that's right. July 4th, 1776. So this battle actually took place a year before the Declaration. And so we were already well embroiled in a battle with the British over our freedom. And so let's talk about that Declaration of Independence that we made, which was written by our which president? 3rd, Thomas Jefferson, that's right. And so we've memorized a portion of this Declaration of Independence, so let's say that portion that we've memorized together. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute a new government, laying its foundations on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Prudence indeed will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes, And accordingly all experience hath shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Such has been the patient sufferance of these colonies, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. And for the support of this declaration, with the firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. Nice job. Thank you for doing that with me. Hopefully you did. All right. I don't want to forget, we do have a couple of birthdays today. Actually 4 birthdays, but one is shared by 3 sisters. So Aisha, Daisha, and Tasha, happy birthday to you. And Markel, happy birthday to you as well. Hope you have a great day today. So for the readathon, don't forget we have some new prize levels, and we have some people who have made it into the 5,000 club. And so they are going to be getting an art set or a science set. They can come and choose that. Once we have the art sets in. We're waiting for Amazon to deliver. Oh, 5,000 is actually the cinch bag. Sorry, let's review those amounts again. So 1,500 minutes, if you've read 1,500 minutes, it's a patriotic pencil and eraser. 3,000 is the art set or science set. So many of you have been earning that. 5,000 is the cinch bag. Sorry about that, friends. 5,000 club, it's upside down. Here we go. Cinch bag, 5,000 minutes. 7,000 a decal for your car or your notebook. 10,000 Wolves, Hoja Wolves t-shirt. 12,000 is a tablet. And like I said, we already have 2 people who have been working, who have already earned that. And our top 5 will get a special prize. So keep working on that, friends. I see that people are starting to log in their minutes a little more faithfully. And in fact, our places have changed. So 4th place is Harshit in 6th grade. 3rd place, Stella from 6th grade. 2nd place is still Quentin from 5th grade. Still the King, Cabrin King, 1st place. Can anyone catch him? So that's all we have for our announcements today. Teachers will be in touch with families to let you know about any work for this week, continuing on either Class Dojo or Edmodo, and also if there are packets for you to pick up, and also instructions on how to either turn in or drop off or communicate with the teachers about the work. So everybody stay home, stay safe, and be helpful and kind to each other. That's all we have for today, so let's do our student pledge. I will do the good, I will learn the true, and I will love the beautiful. And I hope you have a great day today.